पूछो जाके उनसे जिन पे रोशनी नहीं, पूछो जाके उनसे कैसी लगती है कमी।
Hello everyone, welcome to the Opto Hub. Myself Negat Shadab. So we have a very talented personality with us today, known as Pooja Singh, who will be speaking about smartphone in optometry. She is a consultant optometrist who has completed her graduation from AIMS, New Delhi. She works as the business development manager for Resolution, deals with Rose K2 lenses distribution in Northeast and South India. Recently, she has been awarded with Forever Star of India for the Real Super Women in category of Health and Wellness 2020. Thank you so much, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. We are keen to hear you. Thank you so much. Over to you now. Please go ahead.
Okay. Thank you, Nikhat, and thank you, the entire team of Opto Hub. And you guys have approached me long back, but sincere apologies from my end. I was not able to give up the time. And now we are here. And the topic that was given to me is also earlier was a different one, but this topic that has been allotted is really interesting. So I hope everyone in the audience who has taken out time from their busy Sunday or the lazy Sunday one. Thank you everyone for coming here. Okay. Yes. So shall I start?
Yeah, ma'am, sure.
Shahid, can you just please, please, the first one. Okay. Before I start my presentation, I would like to just give you a brief that why are we talking today on smartphone in optometry? I don't need to tell you what a smartphone is, and most of the people who have joined here must be using their smartphone, ditching their laptops, right? So smartphone is now has, creeped into our personal lives, and it has not only into our personal lives, it has also, smartphone has been widely used, started by the eye care practitioners and practitioners all over the world. So that is why we are here to talk about, since smartphone has now, earlier in my days we used to buy smartphones based on the Facebook feature, and we used to buy on the Instagram, but now we see that smartphones are loaded with so many apps which are very much useful for the patient, for the user, as well as also for the practitioner. The line that you can see in my slide, this I have taken down from a very famous Optometry Times article by Dr. Wong, which stated that, is optometry at a point where smartphone applications and photography will change the way optometrists care for patients and how eye care is delivered? Definitely, if we look at the positive aspects, these smartphones are basically helping the eye care practitioners as well as the users using the artificial intelligence. But if we see in the negative aspect, some fear that the introduction of the artificial intelligence into the smartphone may actually outweigh us and many may lose job. So before I start with my slide, I would like to mention two things. That in my presentation, I have mentioned about, how various apps are there, which can be used for the testing, but I do not promote any app. Secondly, those apps have not been tested by any regulatory body, Indian body. And third is, I'm not going to tell you in detail how to do a color vision test and the visual acuity test in an app. These apps I've just mentioned here, you can download the app, see the app, and the apps which I have mentioned there, the few are the ones which are widely used by the users, not by the optometrist. Okay, so let me start. And Shahid, next slide, please. Yes. Okay. We have various uses of smartphones among our eye care fraternity. But before that, I would like to share you a very common example why we are a bit insecure and why we should also try to inculcate smartphone uses as an optometrist in our practice. One, the it is मैं कह सकती हूँ, yeah, last year I had a patient. He came to me and he said, ma'am, please start my investigation. I did the investigation. He was diagnosed with so and so disease. He immediately told me, ma'am, you are the one who told me what disease I'm suffering from and what should I go to and all the intervention. But before that, there were many practitioners whom I met who just mentioned the disease and the diagnosis and they were done with it. I had to go to the, I used my phone, my internet, and then came to know about what disease am I suffering with. So this is our indication if a practitioner is not able to convince the patient, because patients these days are very proactive, they want to know what disease they're suffering and the outcome and the result and the treatment in a proper way. So definitely these patients will resort to the online usages, because we see there's a professional involvement. There are a lot of websites available which state that this information is for the patient, these information is for the practitioners, and there's no like regulatory body. So we as a practitioner, if we fear that artificial intelligence can outweigh us, so we should be very smart enough that we have to constantly upgrade ourselves. Our exposure, our learning should be at par globally. So let's now start the talk. And I have listed here a few uses of the smartphones. If we talk about the eye care fraternity only, evidence-based medicines. Now, if you just log into Google, you see that there are many apps where a doctor or an optometrist can log in, okay, and a patient at any odd time can ask the optometrist about a minor ailment, and the ophthalmologist can also prescribe the medicine there and then. So this is what all happening with the smartphone usage. Professional education, which I totally support. Why? Because earlier there was a time, there was a lot of physical events, conferences were going around. But now with the COVID, I've seen there's a major change, that there's a lot of professional education and webinars happening, and students can easily, okay, without a burn in their pocket, without spending so much of money, they can get a valuable information and the training from a good resources, from good educators. If we talk about the professional education in terms of patient, you can see a patient, a user is getting so much of information about how he can choose a frame, a 3D effect, how he can, get a frame dispensed online. So these things are also running side by side, which may at a later stage go totally against those practitioners who have a single independent clinics. Mobile clinical communications, these are very good and very effectively used these days. I have seen many practitioners who are now very much easily connected with their patients. They are having a separate WhatsApp group of such patients, about the follow-up, about 6 months follow-up, an entire data is being maintained. For example, if I have been seeing patient, I have been in practice since past 10 years, and now I really don't need to worry about the paperwork. I have all the data of my patients, their first year follow-up, their 6 months follow-up, their topography, the lens they have been ordered, everything is in my phone. So I really feel very light. Patient education, as I just spoke about, disease self-management as well, which I am not very pro of, because in case of minor ailments as well as a major ailments, if you just type on the Google, by using a smartphone also, you can see what type of medicines they are recommending. Secondly, in times of COVID-19, I've also seen many patients who were calling me that I really want your appointment. And I was like, it's a total lockdown. So what they were doing is they were sending their videos of the eyes with a small pain in the eyes or any trauma. So in such cases, we have to decide which ailments have to be seen, which we can just see through the smartphone. And they are major thing, like in case of trauma or in case of any injury that the patient has to report to the eye physician. Remote patient monitoring is a very useful by using a smartphone. Why? Because there are cases when a local doctor sitting in the village needs an opinion of a tertiary eye care center, and in case of large screening. So in that cases, I really feel the smartphones are a very good help, and the apps which are into it. Shahid, next slide, please. Yes, now the applications which are available. These are few of the applications which are really found very interesting ones and very demanding ones. For example, if you go onto the apps available on Android or iOS, there are few which are free apps. There are few which are not free, paid ones. You have a lot of apps which are for visual acuity testing. Amsler grade, color vision, stereopsis, amblyopic management even, pupil size, color photographs, anterior and posterior segment of the eye, monitoring the eye drops dosage, especially in case of glaucoma patients. These apps are there, but these are not the verified apps. There are many apps which are outdated as well. There are many apps which have not been, screened by any professionals, and there are many apps which have a lot of professional involvement. So I can't comment that please go to visit such apps, but there are a lot of apps available, which in case of if certain protocols are laid down, which might be helpful in our country, and if we talk about these apps, I just went to few apps and I saw many of the users who are not optometrists or ophthalmologists or a normal common user is using these apps at home to check his vision. There are many who are also checking their color vision by using these apps. Shahid, next slide. Yes, these are the few of the screenshots which I took from the internet. These are one of the highest rated apps which are available there about the vision testing. Then we have one Ishihara color blindness test. Then we have the Duchrome acuity, pupil distance, eye exam. Shahid, next slide. Okay, then we have this Amsler grid, then we have this Opti Expert by one of the professional company dealing with contact lenses. Then we have the eye drop alarm. Now, in such cases, such apps will definitely help the patient. For example, in case of glaucoma patient, if we talk about, it will help them to monitor the eye drops, their dosage, the timings. And if the patient is a senior one, it can also help the attendees who are totally, sometimes they're not able to connect to the doctor every now and then, as we saw in the pandemic and the lockdown times. Shahid, next slide, please. Okay, this was one of the good adapter and one of the app which I felt I should discuss here. It works in alliance with the iPhone, and this is a custom designed adapter, and it can be used and attached with the slit lamp, and also can be detachable with the slit lamp. This iPhoto dock can collect and capture a very good quality image of the anterior segment as well as of the fundus. It can be saved. And with the help of this, you can also show your patient your diagnosis, the disease, because sometimes you really need to explain to the patient what is happening, what did you see, what you want him to understand, how severe is the disease, the magnitude of the disease. Shahid, next slide. This is the picture that I've taken from the iPhoto doc on the Twitter page. Okay, and you can see, and you can, this is an app which can be downloaded. It's a paid app on your phone, on your iPhone or your iPad, and it can be attached to the slit lamp. Okay, and it is available. People are ordering it globally, and with the help of which you can take a very good quality image photos. It can be saved accordingly. You can maintain the data as well, and you can also use it as a reference if you're a trainer and an educator to share it to the students who are standing alongside, because most of the time they also need to see what you are seeing in the slit lamp, right? Okay, Shahid, next slide. It is as easy. This information was also mentioned there. Turn on your phone camera and photograph patient's name or ID. With the iPhoto dock, the phone on a slit lamp or lens, set slit to the lowest intensity. View the photo screen for centration and magnification. I mentioned it's a paid feature, and it is an expensive one. Yes. Shahid, the next one. This was one of the picture that was uploaded by one of the doctor also, or by the company person on their side. This is a picture taken by iPhoto doc of the inferior corneal staining, and see how clear it is. Okay, and the best part is, when we are training somebody, it will definitely save time. So I really like this feature. The next one. This is the snap of blepharitis. So see how clear it is, and at the same time, while you're seeing the image, it can be saved as such. And these apps also help us, after a payment of small amount, they also help us to maintain a proper database, right? Next slide. Okay, now if we talk about the advantages, that smartphones, which are now widely being used, and they have been started being used globally across the, if you talk about the United States and the other countries, but in India also, because after COVID-19, what I have seen, that many of the practitioners have proactively started using it. Smartphones, they basically assist in the patient examination everywhere, henceforth aiding the examiner in the emergency setting and also in the screening of a large population, as I said. The clinical converters and the calculators, I mean of the toric calculators, of the surgical IOL part calculators, which are readily available on the internet by the company, they also reduce the time of the eye care professionals, helping and assisting in the various conversions. Shahid, next slide. Yeah, there are various education app available, which basically makes it very good for students as well, and also of the patient. If you browse any website, if you browse any app, what they do is that they mention it. It is for the practitioners and it is for the patient as well. So they have a good quality of information about the patient as well, how to use. If I talk about the contact lenses, what are actually contact lenses? There are certain myths, there are certain questions which most of the time I really feel that because of the busy schedule, patient are sometimes reluctant to talk to the practitioner. So you have a very good amount of information available for the patient as well. See, artificial intelligence is something which will definitely come and always aims at making the life of a user very, very easy. So these things are definitely, but as I said, that if you are a very good practitioner, if you want to enhance your practice, you should make your patient, first of all, comfortable and give him a proper information and a correct information, so that the patient has a trust value on you rather than trusting the lay information lying over the internet. Okay. And then we have the third one, development of education and reference material to professional and student. We have seen this in COVID. After COVID-19, there has been around a surge of so many webinars and online happening around, which I'm really surprised what were they doing before this. So definitely these things are now helping students. And now when you are visiting a clinic or so, you can have your books downloaded in your phones. You can go through them wherever you are traveling, wherever you can refer to them. You have a notepad feature in your smartphone. You can make the notes, you can share the books. So these things are making it quite easy. Okay, next slide, Shai. Smartphone application, as I said, they eliminate the need to carry heavy books, so give you an essential reference material. And the best part is if you have so many options available in the apps, you have so many features, and with the rating as well, with the feedback as well, which definitely help us. Okay, this book is really good. Seniors are recommending it. There's so much have been downloaded. So let's download it, let's read it. And I guess in those colleges where there are students who are struggling with the practical work, I have seen there are many apps which are easily explaining the disease along with the videos. And apart from that, I would also like to add on here. Now we have many sessions are coming up with the live in fitting. Recently, I attended an iClip and they came with the live in fitting session. And it was really wonderful. They had live in fitting of soft lenses, of soft toric, of sclerals, and of RGP. And the best part, we were attending the sessions and we were asking the questions as well. So that is something which I really feel is a boon for all of us. Okay, next one. Social networking between the professional and the patient. Yes, now if I talk about the private practitioners, this social networking has actually between them has make it easier for the professional to share the different view of thoughts, further helping the patient to understand the condition better and eventually lead to a better care regimens. Sometimes what happens is earlier we used to call our patient after 1 year or better care regimen or any new, we really want to update our patient, we can automatically update in one go to all of the patients. So these things are basically much easier now. Okay, next one. Yeah, the real-time discussion about the reports. Yes, because we have the reports. For example, it happened in COVID. There were many patients who really wanted to show to the doctor, but because of the lockdown, it was not possible. So what they did, they had to share the reports. Now sharing the reports is also very easy, and it is much easier for a doctor to also understand, okay, this is the problem or this is the topography. Okay, I can see such and such progression. This is a serious case. He needs such and such treatment. He can be called. So the real-time discussion about the report basically makes it possible for the patient not to present every time, thus treating the patient in a telemedicine fashion. There were many of my contact lenses patient who wanted to come, but they were advised because of the lockdown to stay at home. But what they did was that I gave them a certain form to fill up so that I can know that if they are having a redness after 1 year, if they're having irritation, foreign body sensation, so that the patient are at ease, they are comfortable, and I can come to know from the survey, from the feedback sent by them, that these are the group of patients that really needs my appointment. Okay, next slide. Development of tools for maintaining the patient record. As I said, now we have various apps available which definitely help us in maintaining the database of the patient, their topographies, their data of, as well as refraction values. And these apps also keep on updating us that, okay, this is a 3 months has been done. Now it's a reminder for him, this patient to come for the follow-up. So it's also the advent of administration and management tools. It gives an ease of access to the management. For example, in the hospital where they have a large number of patients to follow, and referral in telemedicine fashion within an affordable budget. Okay, next slide. Yes, everything, as I already said, it has a pros and a cons. And if I talk about the cons that we have, a notable difference in the quality. Many of the apps which are there, they have been either prepared by some company or by some students, and definitely what amount of data that they have used in, on what number of population, basically it need to be checked. So a notable difference in the quality, the accuracy, and the professional involvement in these apps have been noted in the literature. There was one of the literature which also mentioned that it was done that 22.53% of the apps which are there had clearly document professional involvement in app developing, giving an alarm for the governance and app targeting. Why this is important? Why? Because a patient is not knowing what is good for him and what is bad for him. If a company sponsors an app, if a company sponsors everything and say, okay, this is good, and if a patient comes to you, sometimes what I can say, most of the time practitioners are not like that, okay, this is good, this is only good for you. They will say, okay, fine, we'll proceed in such steps. But if such patient goes to the Google or uses the app and see, okay, this is the best thing, he comes back to the practitioner and say, you did not mention this contact lenses, you did not mention this technique, why did not you mention it? Now the practitioner faces a challenge. So that is why I've seen that most of the apps, they are just the sponsored one. So there should be a regulatory bodies and a screening sort of body who should filter out, and only those apps. See why I'm saying this many a times, because this is not a gaming app. These apps are not a gaming apps. These apps are related to the eye testing, to the vision. So they are related to the eye of eye care. So in such cases, what I really feel that these screening should be done at the national level, or somebody should control it in such a way that if an app is downloaded, we can also recommend a patient to download an app, so that we are also aware that that app has done study on minimum number of Indian population or the patients. Okay, next slide. Although few mobile technologies are found to be clinically valid, as I said, the lack of the stipulated professional involvement in the development of eye care app was found to be consistent with. So apart from that, as I said, if there is an app coming on, so for example, of about the visual acuity test. So if we suppose in case of emergency, refer to a patient on that case. So we should be also thorough with who is sponsoring it, if suppose it has been funded by the government body, and what type of data they have used is. Third is what I want to mention here, key, these are the apps, okay, fine. Now what we see, if we talk about the online optical dispensing, this is a bit hurting. Why? Because now I see most of the people, they get a feature on the app where they can try various sunglasses on it. Apart from that, they can get there's an app by Hoya called Spectangular, if I'm not, yeah. And that app helps a patient to calculate all the features which are basically required for a frame dispensing. So imagine if the patient has an old prescription, he gets his glasses made. And if I don't want to name the company, but they are company who are offering such a flexibility that you are getting your eye care done at home. So, and so what is the credibility of that? You will definitely want a patient to trust you, to come back to you. So that is why these smartphones, definitely these apps which are there, they come with a limitation, but we constantly have to upgrade ourselves. Okay, next slide. While analyzing the description of the apps, most of the apps were found to be not updated for a longer period of time, and the lack of restriction for downloading that other than the targeted audience, peer reviews, and the validation of the apps were found. Yes, as I mentioned. Next slide. To avoid the potential risk of misleading information, the details of the eye care regimens as well as the information about the eye disease mentioned in most of the apps are needed to be validated. I just mentioned it. Shahid, next slide, please. Yes. Okay. See, this was a study that was done in 2015. It was published in IGO, this paper, and the name of the paper was Outsmarted by the Smartphone. This, this I really want to share here. It states, where do we stand on this in India? It was done in 2015. Still, there is no authoritative or the legal framework in our country to help doctors and the patients on e-consultations. So aspects such as patient confidentiality, why? Because what are we doing? We're taking the patient's data, we are taking his image of the eye, and we are transferring to our colleague and storing in our record. So aspects such as patient confidentiality, security, and intellectual property, these have to be specifically addressed. Okay, next slide. In fact, I mentioned this in starting as well, because there's a fear among our optometry fraternity also that more of the artificial intelligence coming up will definitely can have a negative impact on our job. So I already see, this is the line that I've taken from one of the article, which says, it was by Dr. Wong, and he mentioned this, therefore, OD, an optometrist's ability to properly use artificial intelligence should be the focus, not the growing fear that the optometrist's job will be replaced. And artificial intelligence will definitely allow an optometrist the opportunity to improve the patient outcomes for the global healthcare community. So I really wanted to mention this line here, because as and now, if we see with respect to 5 to 10 years down the lane, we can have many validation, many good apps coming up. So we really need to prepare ourselves. Next slide. These were the few of the papers which I was just, while making this presentation, I had just gone through them. So I really wanted to share. And you guys, if you have time, then you can also go through these papers. One was the use of smartphone in ophthalmology. It is available there. It's a free article. Just go through them and what they have said. The next slide, Shahid. This is the visual acuity measured. Okay, Shai, please be back. Yeah, visual acuity. This something which I found, which I'm still going through. This paper shows visual acuity measured with a smartphone app is more accurate than the Snellen testing by the emergency department providers. But again, this has been done on a limited population. So we have lot number. This is the smartphone application for amblyopia treatment as well. So see, these three papers there, yes, and the use of smartphone in ophthalmology. Then we have the second one. Yeah, the next one. iPhone applications for eye care professionals, a review of the current capabilities and concerns. See, these free articles are available there. Please go through it and just keep updating yourself, because there are many people globally who are working on developing an app. And two of the things which I guess, one is the Eye Netra, if you guys are aware of it or not. In the recent years, they have also started their sale, but in the recent years, we may see power checking of your eyeglasses through phone, as well as the portable auto refractometer, and that too also through phone, and as well as a phoropter also through phone. The power calculation through phone, power checking of your glasses through phone, and the site is Eye Netra. You can just go and have a look there. So see how technologies and how artificial intelligence are coming up into the field of optometry, and how it will be a plus for us also. Why? Because we now may not be the need to buy those heavy, bulky instrument refraction unit. It will be so simple for us that we can have a portable entire refraction unit, okay, within, and we can carry it wherever we want for the community screenings, or if you are a freelancer optometrist, if you want to go to 2-tier or 2-tier or the small villages also. But in one of the term, it will something will be a good for us. There are some apps which I really don't like to, for example, the testing of the visual acuity, because most of the people I'm coming across, they are testing their vision at home by using those apps, and those apps are paid, those apps are not reliable. There have been many of my patients who's told that by using those apps, they have submitted their prescription to Lenskart, and they got the glasses made, and after a few months they were very much uncomfortable. So these things will come up. So what we really need to do is we really need to update ourselves. Okay, and I think I'm done with my presentation. Yes. And yes, and if you have any doubt, if you need any, any help on this topic, so definitely these two are my email IDs, and you guys can connect me on this email IDs. Now I'm open to the question answer sessions. Please, if you have any doubt.
Yeah, ma'am. Thank you so much for explaining it so well. It was very informative for all of us. It's a smartphone in optometry.